Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you ready for an advanced? Actually, I lied, but if you put advanced in front of your title, it always sounds like it's going to be something.
Red flag.
As Ilya said, I just moved here, so thank you very much for having me here. I'm very happy to be here and hopefully to be a part of this wonderful community. This is a very bad picture of me and some stuff that I'm doing from time to time. But I like the community. I organize meetups. And I didn't have the chance to peel this Angular sticker, so excuse me, yeah? I'm not the enemy. For now. I worked at 500 Tech with Ilya. And yeah, that's what I did up until now. So I basically went right here in Europe, and something happened on the way, so I landed in New Jersey, where I live. Anyone here from Jersey? Oh, cool. So you know where it is. Yeah, this is where I... So please let me know how to get home after this meetup, because I lost my way here. Let's get serious for a second and then start the tech stuff, because not everything perfect in our world. So I'm volunteering in a PhD. So if you or one of your friends are doing PHP, you can talk with us. You've got a warm place, warm hugs, right? You can live with PHP in 2018. I mean, we can help you. Talk with us. All right, let's talk about the agenda and get started. I got only 1 hour, yeah, Ilya, for my talk? Two.
Feel free.
So this talk is not actually about React, and it's not too much about Redux. It's more about design patterns and about programming with messages, because sometimes we miss this one. I mean, we think at Redux as, you know, all right, just another library for state management, but there is a truth, a very, very interesting truth behind the idea of Redux. So my goal for today is to share my thoughts about it, maybe to learn some new terms to describe our flow. We'll see some code, but that's not the main issue for this one. So please open your mind, because I'm going to say a very, very, very nasty word. Hopefully it's not against the code of conduct in React Meetup. I'm going to say object-oriented programming. Sorry. Let's go back in time to 1997, all right? This very interesting and important book, which includes a CD-ROM. Yeah? Now, I'm kidding, but you should check it out, because you find a really nice surprise in there. This is me in 1997, but this is something else. Have you heard about CQS pattern? Who heard about CQS? Only one person, all right. Two and a half. Command query separation. Basically, this is an idea that you can find in this book very, very long time ago. And you don't need to read all of this. Let's talk about separate the methods that write data from the method that reads the data. Sounds familiar? Object-oriented programming. This is a very nice sentence that I like to use. Asking a question should not change the answer, and that's the beauty about Redux. When you use selectors, you can query the data, and you can be sure that you'll never mutate your state. All right, and it's all there. So commands. What is commands? We change the state of the system, but do not return a value. You just dispatch a command. Programming with messages. Queries, the other side. You can use queries wherever you like. You don't need to worry. But you should treat commands very carefully. All right? So this is a not very nice bit. I did my best, all right? But if we change some naming, we've got Redux. So the ideas behind this library, this state management, you can find it like more than 20 years ago. So it's good to know, it's good to learn, even if it's OOP. All right. This book it works for me. I mean, I read this book and I become better in Redux. This book contains like 65 messaging patterns, and it's not very sexy, it's not looks like very modern, but it contains a lot of good stuff. It's talking about server-side and enterprise architecture, but if you take those ideas in context of front-ends, we're building complicated front-ends, and those patterns can fit us, which is interesting. So this talk is about taking some patterns from here and play with them on the front end. All right? Sound interesting? If not, we can talk about Angular. All right, so let's talk about messaging patterns. Redux, all right? So basically, we're constructing. I will get better in English, believe me. We're constructing an action, and then we process this action. An action is an event, a set of instructions. So the message is the most important thing when we're using Redux, or messaging system, or event-based system in general. And the most interesting part in Redux is actually this one, the middleware. Because the reducer is very simple, we just take some data and put it on the state, and that's it. And creating actions, we shouldn't do nothing else than creating actions. And here are all our side effects. And this is the most interesting part of Redux. How many of you using Redux? Yeah. How many middlewares do you have in your system? One? How many use one? Like two? Very, very careful about middlewares, because middlewares are evil. Because so where do you put your logic? In the action creators, on the reducers, where do you manage the procedure, the side effects, what happened to the message? Don't be afraid of the middleware. Before we dive into the middleware patterns, let's have a quick one about actions. So again, it's going to be a little bit high level. Let's talk about actions categories. There are different types of actions. Not all actions are even or evil. All right. Let's talk about an event. It's okay to just dispatch an event to notify that something has happened. For example, our application got offline. I don't know. Routing just started. Why do we need to dispatch actions that does nothing, just notifies? It's a good extension point. I mean, if I'm building a library or building an app and I'm just notifying that something happened, you can hook to this, you can react to this. All right? So the first category of action that I want to talk about is events. It's all right to dispatch events, to notify our app that something happened. Usually there is more than one handler to this event. All right? Cool. The other one is command. And it's like invoking a method. When I'm dispatching a command, I'm expecting that something will happen, some kind of reply. And again, we are programming with messages, so we don't have an immediately returned reply. When we just dispatching an action, and something should happen. All right? There usually will be one handler for this action, because this is a very specific command. The last one is the document action. And the document action is the most easy one to understand. It just contains some kind of data structure. Usually the reducer will process this event, take this data structure from the payload, and put it on the state. Cool? So if you think about, if you use those terms when you're thinking Redux, it actually becomes much more easier to think about what's happening in our app. I mean, all right, now I'm dispatching a command action, and I want to notify other pieces of my app that this procedure just started. All right? Cool. And I want to store something. So we learn about action categories. Next part I want to talk about is we've got an action, different categories of actions. Now we need to process this action. And now we're going to talk about middlewares. because reducers do process actions, but this is a sync process and it's not so interesting. Take a look at those patterns. Again, I borrowed those from this very old book, and we try to put them in context. So let's start with the first one. We've got filtering, mapping, splitting, and a bunch more. All right, the first one is quite easy. All right, filtering. So maybe we didn't thought about it as a pattern, but basically when we write a middleware, we care about only one action, maybe more than one action, all right? But if you use the term filtering, it will be much easier to read and understand a very complex middleware. Let's talk about mapping. And here there are two types of mapping. And when I'm saying mapping, I'm talking about, let's take an action like this get data action, and let's map it to another action based on, in this case, based on the content of the action. I mean, it's okay to grab this action, to check the payload, and to look for a Boolean or some other instructions, and then decide what will be the next action. Now, I know it sounds like a little bit of an overhead. I mean, you're taking one action and then you're just switching it to another action. So come on, what are you doing? Just call a function and get a reply. But that's the idea behind programming with messaging. We are working with messages, and hopefully the hard part of this talk is try to convince you that you should write much more code that you actually write, and we'll see the benefits of it in the live demo. The other part of mapping, by the way, all of those patterns and ideas I used personally on very large projects. So if you like to see those in real stuff, yeah, you can talk to me. Yeah, why not? Talk to me. Talk to Elia. It's Angular stuff, yeah, but I've got some React. The other kind of mapping, it's okay to check the context. It's okay to check global variables and then decide what to do with this action. Let's take this get data and check some environment variables and then decide what to do next. All right? Cool. Let's talk about splitting actions. Does anyone see a good reason to do this kind of stuff? Any ideas? Yeah, please.
Well, in this case, if you have a user interface element, like a spinner, that you need to let the user know that the request is happening, you can say add pending, and then when the request comes back, you can toggle that pending off again.
Yeah, that's a good answer, but I mean, why do I need to dispatch two other actions? I mean, I can take this get data and I just use it in several reducers. So this technique will help me to route actions to different reducers, and it keeps your reducers with a single responsibility. So you don't find yourself handling the same action in different reducers. So it might look like very strange, not a very typical Redux. I mean, I'm taking an action and dispatching to other actions, but hey, I'm targeting different reducers, and the reducers are let's call it, have one responsibility. We do those kind of stuff, maybe not the splitting, all right? Maybe not this kind of code, dispatch and dispatch. We do this kind of stuff, but what I like you to try is to use those terms when you describe your flow. All right, so I got this event, or I've got this command, I want this one to happen, and this one should do this and split to other. Yeah, Gretchen.
Mine's not as much a question, I was just going to say this is actually pretty awesome, because what I like about this is it's payload agnostic, meaning it doesn't care about the payload, so you can dispatch this get data for any API you have in your library, and just handle it based on the
cool.
payload. That's awesome.
Great. So you can see the benefits. Yeah. And again, I didn't invent this. Yeah, I'm too young to invent this. not that young. Yeah, well, talk about it later. But yeah, 20 years ago, OOP. Sorry, yeah.
Question also, for example, when
Yeah.
you dispatch an API request.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's happened to us synchronously, and what's happened actually in this case? So we can dispatch first when we have an API call.
What the case for this one?
This one, yeah.
Just to decouple the reducers from actions, to decouple your moving parts in your app. I'm targeting different actions to different reducers. The API request is targeting another middleware, yeah, and the app pending is targeting the UI reducer and affect the loading. That's my motivation. I mean, nothing else. And here I've got a point where I can.
You just use behind the hood in dispatch action API request.
Oh, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
You see it in a minute. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right. Let's explore 3 more patterns, see some code, and have some beer, and then
Let's start from beer.
talk it. Yeah, take it from there. All right. So we talked about action deciders. Let's filter an action. Let's split it. Let's transform it to something else. Let's move forward with this idea and talk about transform patterns. Those are easier to understand. And if you're wondering, all of this stuff happening in the evil middleware, all right? I mean, you will write a middleware, a specific middleware for a specific operation. We'll see it in a minute. So we've got the Enricher, the Normalizer, and the Translator. Great terms, all right? The Enricher, actually, it's very easy and very common to use. I use it a lot. Let's say the component is dispatching this submit order. I don't think that the component should be responsible to put this new date on this action. The component only should care about I'm submitting this data, and that's it. This middleware will take this original action and will attach an ID or a timestamp for it. And the component doesn't know about it, and no one knows about it, and it's totally OK. And if I want to change it to another kind of unique ID, I can do it right here. I don't need to touch my presentation layer. All right? Questions? Take your original action and put some extra data that the component shouldn't be aware of. Cool. Normalizer. Well, this one I think speaks for itself. It's a very good point in our app to take this API success and then flatten the structure. All right, this is a pseudocode, so don't look for details here. Flatten the structure and then produce a new action with an optimized structure for our state. Last one, the translator. All right, and the translator, again, a question for you. I've got 2 different actions in my app. I've got this show loader and hide loader, which feels like, again, an overhead. Why? And then I take both of them, and I'm using the same one, the toggle loader. Why?
Well, show loader and hide loader is very declarative, but they're going to call the same function anyway, so you might as well dispatch an action.
And that's exactly the idea. You don't have to agree with it, but hopefully you'll see the benefits, all right? I'm not afraid to produce a lot of actions because I want to make my life easier because I'm a human being, I'm not a computer. I'm the one who needs to read the logger and understand everything that happened in my app. And if I open the log and all I see is API request, all right, but what happened before? And if I see toggle loader, all right, but toggle loader, I don't know, it's not very English for me. All right, and it's got some other benefits, but this is the main motivation to use this. Another question?
Just my thought, if you just use toggle loader, for example, you would run into an issue where maybe you have 2 places where you're calling toggle loader, and then it toggles on and off, but it's supposed to keep running. So So show loader, if you call that twice rather than calling toggle loader twice, in two different parts of your application, then that will still keep the loader running.
Yeah, actually, we've got other patterns as well to deal with load that need to keep running. But yeah, all right. So let's see. Let's try to see how it would look like in a real app. All right. Oh. No, it's not by accident. I put it here and I put it on the slide, and I wanted to show you because, as I said before, the hardest thing about this talk is try to convince you to write tons of code that doesn't seem to be necessary. And this is a very great article that you should read. And after you read it, let's talk. All right? All right. So this is my app, all right? Not very sophisticated, but it's got like everything I need to scale it. I'm prepared to every scenario. So we've got here a list of books, and if I reload a spinner, and you actually can see in my log, I can understand everything that just happened, and I'm namespacing my actions. So I've got a get from books, and I've got from app an API request, and from UI the show spinner, and then again from books the fetch was success, the books updated, and the UI hide spinner. All right, we'll see the code in a minute. I just want to show you the end results. Actually, this is the most interesting action because this is the document action. This one contains the data. The fetch success doesn't contain any data. Oh, excuse me. Doesn't contain the data that I need. It contains everything. The books update is actually the data that I'm going to display. If I click on a book, all right, let's look at the log. So first of all, I've got a select event. The book was selected. And then I've got an event, something in my system, order in progress. All right, the UI care about this. And then I've got an order create, again, an event that does something. Someone care about that the order just created, all right? And right after this, the order was updated. So behind the scene, I'm creating an order. I'm already populating the date and the book ID. And now I'm ready to enter my email, press order. And now I've got order complete. I've got an update. I've got everything here. I've got the email. I've got a bug here because it shouldn't be an email. It should be the entire object. And if you read the log, you can see that I've got tons of event for something that looks very, very simple. I mean, I don't actually need all of this, but let's take a look at how I implement this and see the benefits of how we can scale it and do some interesting stuff with it. How much time do I get? Minus 5 minutes? No, really? Ah. All right. Node modules, node modules, node modules, node modules. All right. We won't talk about the components because it's not interesting. All right. Let's talk about Redux. Let's talk about actions which are doing absolutely nothing, just action creators, where I construct my actions. And if I need to pass some arguments, I'm creating a function. If I don't need, I can spare this function, up to you. But something that it's not so typical, I haven't seen it in the React ecosystem, but it's there in the Angular ecosystem, to use those kind of namespacing for your actions. But I discovered that it's much easier to see, as you see in the log, and understand exactly where it came from. All right? So the action is not very interesting. Again, the reducers, very, very simple. It's a very, very simple demo. But the reducer should stay simple. And the interesting part is the middlewares. So I created a middleware named books. And its main concern is to handle a procedure. Procedure? Procedure? Procedure. 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 All right. Procedure. All right. Let's read the code. I know it looks like a lot of middleware, but middleware are not evil. Let's read it. All right. The first one, it's a splitter. All right. I care about the get books, and then I'm dispatching two events. One of them is an API request. The other one is the show spinner. And please note that I'm using the next action right here. If I remove it, I won't see the books get on the beginning. What happened to my demo? Ah, I don't have any next at all, yeah. That's stupid. What I really wanted to do is to put it right here. All right. So you see, we just started with API request and then books get. So I'm doing the next. I'm forwarding the original message right on the start, just to get the sequence right. So that's the reason it's up here. All right. So this one is very simple. Get books, dispatch API request, dispatch show spinner. All right. API request. API request is not a concern of the book middleware. So an API middleware will take care of the API request. All right? And this generic API middleware can handle all of our API calls because it just reads the metadata from the action itself, so it knows which action it should dispatch on success and which action to dispatch on error. Back to books. This was the first part, so get books flow just started here. The second part, if the fetch book success, I'm dispatching two events. One of them is update books, and the other one is hide spinner. Again, programming with messages. Messages coming in, message goes out. This one is dealing with the select book flow. And this middleware is dealing only with books. And everything that happened with books, all the complex flow, and it might get much more complex than this, all of this logic is right here in my app, right here in books. So I will not need to refactor my components or my reducers or any other file. All right? And the benefits, let's say that tomorrow, when fetch book success, I want to normalize the data structure, I can come here because I've got this place in my code when I can do whatever I want. There is a separation between the fetch books success action and the actual update books action. All right? Cool. Any question about this books middleware? All right? So the books care about select book. But if you select a book, I'm dispatching an event in a system order in progress and create order. And that's it. And I don't deal with it anymore in the books middleware because the books doesn't care about how to create an order. All right? So I've got the order middleware, function, and a function, and a function, and all right, middlewares, mighty evil middlewares, but just functions that process events. The book order will take it from here, create the order, submit the order, dispatch the event like order complete. Another part of the system completely decoupled, care about the order complete. This is the, where is it? Actually, this is the reducer, the UI reducer, which care about the order complete and can shut down the, switch the views. All right? So quick summary. Hopefully you find it very interesting to think about React as something more in high level. I mean, it's a messaging system. There is patterns for this, very old patterns. And if you use the right terms, and if you stop afraid from middlewares, you find the middlewares is the most interesting part of your app. and the part in your app when most of your code, your logic is actually living. Because our application is made of side effects. And if you take this proposal, you'll find out that you can do a lot of refactoring and change a lot of your data flow in very specific middleware files without touching other part of the system. And you've got great flexibility to play with this. Cool? All right? Questions? Not really? So let me say thank you officially, all right? If you want to keep in touch, you'll see me. You'll see me. I will come to a lot of meetups, both as a listener and to share my stuff. And if you like to hear it, I'll be very happy. If you want to talk about anything front-end, you can reach me, Twitter, email, phone, whatever. If I'm stuck somewhere without any service, you can talk with Ilya Gelman, our head of office. Wrong picture. Yeah, with Ilya. He's wearing an Angular t-shirt. Anyway, thank you very much, and catch you later. Questions? Yeah. Yes, please.
So your custom middlewares, you apply them as just regular you would apply other middleware?
Yeah. You can see here in the store, just apply middleware. Can you see it? Just an apply middleware, but the things that I like about it, you see I'm spreading the books middleware. So if I want to add another function, another middleware to my box procedure, all right, cool. So I can just add it to this middleware, I don't need to touch the store anymore. I mean, I'm just exporting an array, this is my procedure. Cool. Another question. Wait a second. Yeah. You've got a mic. Yeah.
I have a specific question and then a general question.
All right.
The specific one is I missed the part where you call the next action before and after you do the extra stuff.
Here.
I kind of missed, where you were
why I'm calling the next action right here? Because if you hit this function and you hit this condition, it won't be the right order of actions. You might get in the situation where you hit this one is true, and then you've got this action, and then the get books. So this code available on GitHub, open source, available for everyone. I'll share the link in the group. You can explore it, you can write comments, and I'm happy to add to it if you like. But that's the reason.
And then the general question is, so this kind of framework that you've laid out with the different action types and the middleware is very business logic heavy. Is that mainly best practices, or are there libraries forming around this? To what extent is there?
It's hard to say if it's really a best practice, but if you ask for my opinion, I learned this stuff from materials that lives way before I knew how to write code. So in general messaging systems, this pipe who's processing the action, it's considered to be the best practice to put all your logic there. So the way I see it and I understand it in Redux, this is the middleware. When we just started with Redux, it looks like a middleware, it's an advanced feature and you use it sometimes, only one or two if you need. But the middleware, that's the moving part that keep all of your app decoupled completely. Actually, if you take this book's middleware as is, it's just dispatching events. Take an event and dispatching an event. You can use it in other frameworks.
I wanted to ask you something, I guess, about the choice of using middleware.
All right.
It seems to me that the problem that you're having is just a question of where to put some of your business logic, where to establish the pipeline that transforms messages that you want to send. That needn't necessarily be middleware. What you could, for example, do is use thunk, in which case you would not actually have to put your switch on the action type all the time or call next.
But when you use thunk, you're bringing the responsibility back to the action creator. So you're dispatching an action and you get a response. So there's nothing wrong with this. All right, thunk is a middleware by itself. So you've got like a middleware like Redux multi, when you can dispatch an array of actions. You've got other solutions for this. So again, it's very opinionated. From my experience, when I use this approach, I found that I don't have a problem where to put my business logic. I have a problem where to manage my side effects, or let's say differently, how to manage my side effects, how to isolate my side effects. Can I create a file that doesn't know nothing about the dispatcher, the components, doesn't know nothing about the reducer, and just care about an action comes in, I do whatever I want, and actions comes out. But again, opinionated, and of course you've got different approaches to attack this. It's just an offer that works for me.
May I ask you a question about fetch request for an API? Actually, this is like some sort of like a thunk. In this case, did you even try use promise, like a middleware?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. You're talking about the fetch API?
Yeah.
I just use fetch for the demo. I could use whatever.
Just to know, did you ever use promise? Like when you just can write a syntax payload and use your access request to an API directly in your payload field.
No.
So without any kind of like promises.
I don't do this. I don't do this.
Okay.
Most of the time in my production code, you'll see stuff that looks like this.
So you don't have any experience?
I've got bad experience with this. That's the reason I choose to get far away.
Like, he also didn't show us the network layer here. We didn't actually look at API requests being made here. We're looking at what happens before an API request actually happens and how the response is.
Yeah, the API is right here. The API middleware just doing an API call, a real API call. This is a real API call. Yeah. All right, a real server being used.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.